Hey, FanboyNation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
FanboyNation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
This man has had quite a summer at Knott's Berry Farm in the Walter Knott Theater. He is a world-renowned illusionist, and we have only 9 more shows with him. Brad Ross, how are you today?
I am amazing. It is such a thrill for us to be here at Knott's Berry Farm. What a past month it has been. The audience is here, man. Everybody has just been through the roof. I mean, the reactions, the warm welcome we received. So how could I be anything less than amazing enjoying our time right here at Knott's Berry?
You know, I caught the show the first weekend that you came to town. You're on a world tour, and you decided to make this stop this summer here in Knott's Berry Farm in Southern California in Buena Park. It's been a lot of fun. It's very kid-friendly, so it's not kiddie, it's kid-friendly. Let's be clear on that.
Correct.
You have some old standards, sawing the lady in half and a couple of other tricks that we've been familiar with, but you put the Brad Ross spin on it. You know, how do you take classic tricks like that one in particular and then make it feel fresh, since we've seen this trick for well over 100 years?
Yeah. Well, RC, the thing about it is, so magic is, centuries old, and there's only a certain number of principles in the world of magic in terms of what we can do. There's levitation, there's science defied, vanish, appearance, and so on and so forth. And so when whatever type of magic show someone is presenting, we utilize those various principles of magic. The twists that we put on them that make this show so unique and what audiences react so well to is the world-class illusions that we bring on stage. So, for example, nowadays, we're here 2025. We have the world at our fingertips. We can see movies streaming. We can watch, an independent feature from another country. You can see pretty much anything. However, when you watch magic is one of those few art forms that it is completely different when you are watching it in a theater, particularly when you are seeing an illusionist perform. And that's how I got interested, how I got started. I grew up in the 80s and 90s watching David Copperfield on TV, Lance Burton, Siegfried and Roy, Doug Henning, The Great Blackstone. And I was enamored, just amazed at what they were able to do in a theatrical setting. And even though you'd watch it on TV, they were presenting the illusions in front of live audiences. And that's the type of magic that I got into as a teenager and that I specialize in now, is doing those full-scale theatrical productions, which we've brought right here to the Walter Knott Theater, where we're doing this recording right now. And what we specialize in really is taking the magic that maybe has been around for centuries or hundreds of years or even just decades, but adding a twist onto it that makes it fresh for audiences today. We don't want to present something that's tongue-in-cheek, that's kind of corny. We really try and be real with our audiences, sometimes giving them a little bit of a glimpse of how a magician does what we do or why we do what we do, without telling you the secret, of course. But we try and bring audiences on that journey so that they get to experience a little bit of why we do what we do.
Sleight of hand doesn't necessarily work in a theater the size of the Walter Knott Theater. That's close-up magic. But for me, this is something that I want to learn from you, is what was the hardest sleight of hand trick that you learned? Like the one that took you the longest to get?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Sleight of hand is one of the disciplines in magic. Just like I'm an illusionist, so I specialize in the grand stage illusions. Close-up magicians or sleight of hand artists, like you're referring to, that is another discipline. But interestingly enough, you don't just start out in magic with a levitation of a human being or cutting a girl in half. That's not exactly available at every local magic shop. So people get started with the sleight of hand. And for me, probably the hardest trick I learned was that very first one, which for me was the vanishing handkerchief. I was no more than 5 years old, again, growing up in New Jersey. My parents took me to a local magic shop. We were out to dinner as a family one night. My older brother had bought a magic set, and in this magic set was this secret little gimmick that taught you how to vanish a handkerchief. You probably know what I'm talking about. And for me to be able to do that trick as a 5-year-old, it was pretty difficult. But it was getting up that courage to try it, even though I kept failing over and over and over again. And that's kind of what magic does for people, especially when folks, even like yourself, are interested in learning how to do magic. There's the performance of it that comes later, but there's the mastery of the technique. And whether it is a grand illusion, like your viewers are going to see right here at the Walter Knott Theater, or it's a close-up piece of magic that's happening just inches from your face, it's all about learning that technique, mastering that first, getting through, going over those hurdles of, oh my gosh, I completely messed it up. Once you've mastered the technique, then you could start layering in the performance.
Do you go back and hone the classic skills as well? I mean, we've seen you not only saw her in half, but take 27 daggers and shove it through her after you've lit them on fire. That's not a spoiler. That's in the trailer, so we're not giving too much away. But like, there's the big illusions that you do now, but is there a moment where you pull back to practice the classic tricks because you want to keep those skills alive?
Yeah. So we're actually practicing the classics and the disciplines all the time in everything that we do. Even in the show where we may not be doing close-up magic here in a theater that seats thousands, but we are still always working on things like, without giving away too much, our misdirection or how we interact with the audience. Because the thing about magic, and again, not revealing too much, but the thing about magic is that we are going to distract you as a magician to pay attention to what we want you to pay attention to. And after all, it is an illusion. We're not trying to say that we're conjuring up some spells from another world, but it is an illusion. And so the disciplines are used throughout the show, even though it's not card tricks and coin tricks. I'm constantly in practice of those. Absolutely.
When you bring your show to Knott's Berry Farm, we only have about 45 minutes with you. It's not the full hour and a half set. How do you know which one to bring in, which one to rotate out? Because you've been here for roughly a month now and we're going into our final weekend. It's not the same exact show every week. There has to be some bit of rotation at some point. How do you decide on what's going in and what's coming out, especially with only 45 minutes 3 times a day?
So it actually is the same show that we present every single day. Years ago, when I got started in magic, I learned, a mentor of mine said, when I got bored doing a magic trick, for example, over and over and over again, I said, oh, I want to put something new into my show. I want to try new magic. And he said, amateur magicians do different tricks for different audiences. Professional magicians do the same tricks for different audiences. And that's kind of the thing about our show. We've been doing this show. We've been on the road now for 11 years with this production. We've taken it all around the world. We've performed at theaters, performing arts centers, theme parks, arenas, and so on and so forth. And the magic that we present has been perfected. When we get ready to go on the road for a particular tour season, for example, this summer, we came to Knott's from doing an extended run at Six Flags St. Louis in their theater. And when we are mounting a show for the tour season, that's where we actually decide, hey, are we doing something different? Are we swapping out this audience interaction moment with something else? Are we going to bring out a piece of magic we haven't done in a few tours? So that's really where we'll make those decisions. And the way those decisions get made is really based on what we find works best. Going back to that lesson I learned from that mentor, it's not about what I enjoy, it's about what do the audiences love? What is going to land? And that's something particularly that, just again, as a nod to all of the fans out there from right here at Knott's Berry Farm, everything lands. You guys are amazing. They're just so warm. They're so welcoming. They're so responsive. I wish I could just bundle all of the audiences here and take them with us on the road. But yeah, we look for magic that's going to wow, that's going to bring those twists, that's appropriate for the kids, but is still going to wow and amaze the teenagers, the moms and dads, and the grandparents that have seen generations of magicians. So we do, if we had one standard for how we select the material that goes into the show, it's something that everybody can enjoy. It's not over the heads of the kids, but it's not something the adults are going to get bored with or groan at.
And that is the best trick that you've performed, is that you went across multiple generations to entertain everybody in one setting. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you acknowledging that, because that's our goal. I grew up watching magicians on TV, going to see live big illusion shows. David Copperfield again, and Lance Burt and Siegfried and Roy, in their theaters in Vegas and on tour. And I was always amazed at how everybody could enjoy that entertainment together. I spent a lot of my career, my early career. I worked theme parks in my early career in the early 2000s. And then I spent about a decade working for Disney, and I toured with a production called Disney Live Presents Mickey's Magic Show. And it was produced by Feld Entertainment. And Feld Entertainment is a giant in the world of live touring family entertainment. And that was where I learned a lot about what works for audiences, be it in theaters and arenas, performing arts centers, literally around the world. On that tour over those 10 years, we did more than 50 countries on 5 different continents. And there was a lot of things that I had to learn when I was doing that, of what works, what doesn't work. And so when I started producing my own show 11 years ago, that was something I wanted to bring along with me, is making sure that everything landed for everyone in the family, so that when we say, hey, the whole family can enjoy this show together, we actually mean it.
Yeah, I want to touch upon something else that ties into your illusion routine. I don't want to, downplay it by saying magic or trickery or any of that sort, because you are an illusionist. You're also a natural bodybuilder, so that keeps you quite fit in going around this way. Do you primarily focus on calisthenics because of, natural body movement and the way you perform on stage, or is it a mix of weights or resistance bands? Like, because you're constantly moving and traveling, how do you keep that natural aspect to it, and what type of workouts are you doing?
Yeah. So basically, I got into fitness. I was always a skinny kid growing up, and I always was self-conscious about that. And I think that's kind of similar with my magic, is that I was a shy kid. I grew up with not a lot of friends, and magic was what allowed me to come out of my shell and to interact with people. And when I discovered fitness, it was kind of the same thing, because I was not particularly, again, just the skinny kid that it was easy to push around on the playground. After graduating high school, I started getting into fitness and started learning more about how one can improve their own appearance while still leading a healthy lifestyle. And as I grew my career and I started touring and traveling, I realized how important that is. So my workout routine, I've competed in a couple of natural bodybuilding shows, mainly just for my own challenging of myself, just to see if you could do it and kind of get into the conditioning, into the best shape of your life. And I actually enjoyed the process so much that I turned what I thought was a one-time thing into really a lifestyle. So my daily workouts actually consist of a little bit of cardio. When we're on the road, my show is cardio. I mean, I'm burning so many calories doing the show, even in a 45-minute show like this, but we're doing it 3 times a day. I mean, I don't stop. So that's kind of the cardio, but typically I do weight training, which is in more traditional bodybuilding style weight training, and watching what you eat dieting wise, trying to make sure you get enough protein in. And all of those things, you said it, are tough when you're living on the road and you're doing show after show in hotels, Airbnbs, and so on and so forth. But oddly enough, finding the routine of starting my day off, going to the gym, eating a healthy breakfast, doing all of those kind of things, add a little bit of normalcy to, even though if I'm staying at a hotel or living in an Airbnb for a run of our show or an extended part of our tour, having that everyday normalcy makes it feel comfortable, so that I'm literally ready to go when it comes time for the show and we get to the theater.
Which has to be extremely difficult, being at Knott's Berry Farm with Mrs. Knott's fried chicken and the boysenberry covered funnel cake.
You nailed it. I have a sweet tooth, and yeah, it is very, very distracting. But that just means, hey, I have to work harder at the gym to burn all those calories off.
Like, I have a friend that always wants to add the powdered sugar to the boysenberry, topping on the funnel cake. I was like, how much more sugar do we need on top?
Look,
How
at
sweet
that
this
point,
is?
if you're already having it, just go for it. It's not doing any more damage. Just go for it.
It's just one of those things, because I like to have the boysenberry by itself. So like
Yes.
the powdered sugar on it kind of changes the flavor of it, and I like the authentic organic flavor of the boysenberry topping.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we weren't here during the festival that I hear so much about with the boysenberries and everything. And we'll have to try and make it work to come back next year during that time, maybe.
Listen, the boysenberry ice cream, the boysenberry jams, the boysenberry, chipotle sauce, all sorts of,
A little bit of
yeah,
everything.
Knott's goes all out for the boysenberry festival. The one thing we are happy with, though, being in the Walter Knott Theater, you have not made Snoopy disappear because we're looking
No.
forward to his Christmas celebration.
Yes, Snoopy has generously let us come into come into the theater for the summer, but he will be here absolutely for Christmas time and with all of his pals.
Yeah. So this begs the question. You have this 45-minute show. You know what works with the audiences. What is your favorite illusion that might be a little too expensive to take on tour with you?
There exists none. So magic is a discipline. So let me back up. If you are a singer, you can sing for yourself, in the shower, in the car, just because you like to sing. Dancing, same thing. If you like to dance, you can go to a silent disco. You can go out to a club. You can go with your spouse or your partner, and you can go out to, do whatever, ballroom dancing. I mean, you can do it just for you. Magic requires an audience. If you are doing magic for yourself in front of a mirror, it's like I don't even know what to compare that to. It's like you're wasting the magic, if I could even say that. So there doesn't exist an illusion that would be too expensive or too elaborate to bring on the road. What I will say is sometimes there's certain venues that we play where certain illusions don't work in that venue, or as you mentioned, a close-up trick. I could do close-up magic if I'm in an intimate, small setting around a dinner table for people. Whereas in the Walter Knott Theater, that's not going to exactly play unless you have cameras, and then it kind of ruins the whole intimacy of it. But in terms of being on tour, what we actually do as give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes knowledge is we actually travel with several backup illusions, so that if we get into a venue and we discover, oh my gosh, this illusion, because of sight lines or angles, or it's just not going to play, or it doesn't fit, we actually have other illusions that are ready to go and can always be added into the mix if need be. Or similarly, if something breaks and it's got to go in for repair and it might be out for a day or a couple of days or a couple of shows, we can throw something else in that's already ready to go, battle tested, tried and proven in front of audiences, and not miss a beat, and let the show always get up and running.
I dig it. You are extremely organized, sir.
You've got to be. We have a limited amount of time in these venues, and we've got audiences that are ready to see the show. So you got to be on top of it. Now, funny enough, I was mentioning earlier and when we were talking about the selection of material as we get ready to go on tour, we do take our entire cast and crew through a 2-week rehearsal and install process, usually at our first venue. So this year it was St. Louis. And during that process, a lot of times we're bringing in new crew members and we're bringing in new cast members. And that's a training ground, really, because sometimes they have had no magic experience. Sometimes they've never touched a magic trick or have no idea how anything works. And you're literally bringing them into this entire world of magic, teaching them everything. And that's always a cool process for me, because as a magician, I can't tell you how the trick works, but we kind of want to. If I'm being a little candid, you keep a secret and you always want to tell someone a secret. So I can't tell the audiences because that would ruin it. But when we bring in new cast and crew and we can train them and teach them how to create magic for the audiences, I don't know. It's kind of a cool thing that we get to do, and sometimes people take this stuff too seriously. I just try and be real, like I am with my audiences, with our team that we work with. And hey, we're here to put on a show. We're here to create magic for our audiences. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Well, you have some incredible assistants, especially in this production. Let's give them a shout out because they did such a wonderful job with you.
We do. We have a cast of 6 talented dancers, 3 men, 3 women that join us on stage every day. We have a crew of 7 that also work with us backstage, front of house, lighting, sound, and that's on a daily basis. But then our production team, our creative director and choreographer, Ginger Lee Kalin, has been with us for going on 12 years now. Our writer and co-creator, Jim Steinmeier, has created the script and the book for this show. We have so many illusion designers that help create and fabricate the illusions that we work on. Our lighting designer, Eric Herskowitz, he does some amazing things with all of the lighting so that our audiences can see everything. Casey Daigle, my partner, and also our associate producer and casting director, does incredible things as well to make sure we are up and running all the time. Costume team, I mean, it's just, the list goes on and on. It's one of those areas, and I'm glad you brought it up, because a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of work that goes into this behind the scenes. Not just what you see and the people that are working on this every day, but it's the entire team that helps put this together before we go on the road. I couldn't do it without them. So yes, huge shout out to everybody that works on our show. Oh, I almost forgot to mention Sasha Moreau. He's our illusion install production manager. Also just genius at everything he does. So huge thanks to our entire team.
One extra bonus thing that doesn't often happen with certain magicians and illusionists is that you being here at Knott's Berry Farm and the spacing between the shows is that at the end of the 45-minute act, you come out and greet every single person that spent the time to want to meet you that stood in line post-show. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal because not everybody gets that experience and that one-on-one time, and you actually make the effort to meet the audience.
Yeah. That's something that's been a part of my let's say my vision for this show when I began producing it. And really it's been a part of any show that I've done that I've been able to, because I really, as I say, magic is one of those art forms that it requires an audience. The audience is the life that makes the magic magic. It's kind of like that. If a tree falls in the forest and no one's there, do you even hear it? If magic happens and there's not an audience, is it really magic? And it's for that reason that I truly enjoy the interaction with the fans after the show. So our cast is out there as well in our meet and greet area, and I love hearing what people's favorite parts of the show or what their experience was. And it's absolutely validating because you can hear the applause, but at a certain point, applause is applause and laughter is laughter, and it's all wonderful, and I love every moment of that on stage. But it's making those connections with people after the show when they come up and tell you what their favorite part was, or how it impacted them, or how they were inspired, or they enjoyed this particular thing, or just again the fact that it's a whole family actually sitting and doing something that's not involving their devices. They're literally sitting and enjoying something that has been around for centuries, and we can still enjoy it today and still get the same reaction as audiences did during the vaudeville times.
Your closing night is Sunday, August 3rd.
Yes.
And so we have to ask this, what does the closing of a show look like? I mean, you've had your residency here in Buena Park at Knott's Berry Farm. You've had a great time because we're still talking about the show now and there's still 9 more shows to go. But, we're closing the show. Is it, this bittersweet moment, or are we ready? Like, okay, Monday we're going to be somewhere else. Do we go on some rides after we've closed down the show? Like, how does it look closing down a final performance at a theme park?
Yeah. It depends on where we are in the tour. So when we left St. Louis to come here, there was all of the amazing excitement of, oh my gosh, we're going to Knott's Berry Farm. We cannot wait to get out to the gorgeous weather of Southern California, which has been what a treat for us. So it depends on where we are in the tour. When we're doing a multi-city tour where maybe there's 10 or 12 different cities, the closing night in a city is like, all right, everyone knows what they've got to do. Everyone's got a job to do. We start loading out, start packing up, lights come down, scenery comes down, illusions get disassembled, packed away, costumes get put away. In this case, because this is the last stop of our summer tour, my next stop is going home. I purchased a home earlier this year with a beautiful, gorgeous backyard and a swimming pool, and I have not spent 1 ounce of the summer at it. So I am very much looking forward. That's a little bittersweet there. I'm looking forward to spending some time in my new home. But it will absolutely be sad to leave Knott's Berry, because even just in this short month that we've been here, it has been incredible. But as I said earlier, the dismantling of the show, the taking apart of everything and getting everything ready for our truck to arrive. We travel in a 53-foot semi, all of the illusions. So it's a big show, as you can see, as you know from seeing it. There's a lot here. So that process takes a little bit of time, but usually by end of day, 24 hours after the last show, most everything is packed away. Fine-tune details and things on Tuesday, and then the truck arrives and comes to pack everything up on Wednesday and head back to our production offices and warehouses in New Jersey. So by all means, it will be sad to leave, but after having had such an amazing time here and such great audiences, we certainly hope that the Knott's folks will have us back again, maybe next year.
We're hoping. And you did mention silent disco. Knott's used to do a silent disco in summer nights, so hopefully they'll bring that back next year because that was always a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love that. Very, very cool.
Now, I want to leave you with this. This is my own personal question of interest, but have you been to, obviously at some point you've done this because you've done this for a while. You've come back to a town, let's say a handful of years later. What's it like when someone said, "Hey, I saw you when I was 7 and we bought the magic kit at the Brad Ross show, and now here I am training to get better and hone my skills because I actually want to be a magician now"?
So my first reaction is, okay, and now I feel old. Usually when someone tells me that, or, oh, I saw, someone told me. So my first tour with Disney, we played the Kodak Theater, now the Dolby Theater in Hollywood. And someone came up to me at the show who's now a professional magician as well, and said, "Hey, I saw you in Mickey's Magic Show at the Kodak Theater in 2006. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, totally makes me feel old. So that's reaction number one. But reaction number two is, that's what magic is. It as old as magic is in history, it is about passing down the secrets and the discipline from generation to generation. There is no Hogwarts. There is no magic school that you go to. There is mentorships, and there is learning from others that have come before you, apprenticing, so to speak. And so when someone gets sparked by seeing our show and they come back years later, that's pretty awesome, I think, because that means that magic bug that I got bitten by when I was 5 years old and a magician performed at my birthday, and here I am all these decades later living out my childhood dream of being a magician. If we're inspiring the audiences in this theater, and here we are, and in the theater it's completely empty, and if we're inspiring the audiences that are out there to try magic and make it a career, I call that a win.
Brad, stick around for just a couple of minutes after we're done with this because I want to tell you what my favorite part of the show is, and I don't want it to be a spoiler for the audience that's coming this weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
But Brad Ross, final weekend at Knott's Berry Farm, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Shows are 1 p.m., 3:30 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. Come out, catch this incredible, fun show with a great twist on some classics that have been modernized, and you will not be sad that or remiss that you came out to see it. Brad, where can we find you on social media if we want to keep in touch with you?
You can find me at bradross.com is our website. You can keep up to date on all things related to the show and to our tours and where we're going to be. And of course, find me on social media at Brad Ross Magic on your favorite social media platforms.
Brad Ross, again, thank you so much. Walter Knott Theater, Knott's Berry Farm, final weekend, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August. I enjoyed the show thoroughly. That's why I'm talking to you, because if I didn't like it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And again, thank you for your time.
Much appreciated, RC. Thank you so much.